Hello, and welcome. Tonight, we are going to take a slow and peaceful journey back in time, a journey to an age long before our modern world, before electric lights filled our nights, before the hum of machines surrounded us, before screens glowed in our bedrooms. So, wherever you are right now, I invite you to get comfortable. Settle into your bed or your favorite resting place. Let your body sink into the softness beneath you. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breathing slow down. There is nothing you need to do right now, nothing you need to worry about. This moment is yours. This time is for rest. As you close your eyes or let them grow heavy, imagine that we are stepping through a gentle doorway, a doorway that leads us backward through the centuries. The modern world begins to fade away. The sounds of traffic disappear. The glow of city lights dims. And slowly, very slowly, a different world begins to appear around us. This is a world lit only by fire, a world where the rhythm of life followed the sun, a world where nights were deep and dark and full of quiet. This is the medieval world, and tonight we are going to discover what it actually felt like to sleep in those ancient times. We will walk through villages and towns. We will step inside humble cottages and grand manor houses. We will feel the cool night air and smell the smoke from dying fires. We will hear the sounds that filled the darkness, and we will understand in a gentle and peaceful way how our ancestors found their rest. So let yourself drift along with my voice. There is no hurry. We have all the time in the world. Let the story carry you softly, like a boat floating on a calm river. And if sleep comes to you before the story ends, that is perfectly fine. That is exactly as it should be. Now, let us begin our journey together. The time is somewhere in the heart of the medieval period. Perhaps it is the 13th century, perhaps the 14th. The exact year does not matter so much. What matters is the feeling of this age, the texture of daily life, the rhythm of the hours, the quality of the light, and the depth of the darkness. We find ourselves in the English countryside. Rolling green hills stretch out under a pale sky. Small villages dot the landscape, their thatched roofs visible between clusters of trees. Narrow dirt roads wind through fields of wheat and barley. Sheep graze in distant pastures. The air smells of earth and growing things. This is a world of small communities. Most people never travel more than a few miles from the place where they were born. The village is the center of life. Everyone knows everyone. Families have lived on the same land for generations. The church steeple rises above the village, marking the hours with its bells. The Lord's manor sits on a nearby hill, surrounded by farmland worked by the villagers. Life moves slowly here. There are no clocks ticking on walls, no schedules printed on paper. Time is measured by the sun and the seasons. When the sun rises, work begins. When the sun sets, work ends. The days grow long in summer and short in winter, and the pattern of life shifts gently with the changing light. The year has its own rhythm, too. Spring brings planting, summer brings growth, autumn brings harvest, winter brings rest and repair. Each season has its tasks and its pleasures. Each season has its own quality of sleep. But tonight, let us imagine that it is autumn. The harvest has been gathered. The days are growing shorter. The air has a crispness to it, a hint of the cold months to come. And the leaves on the trees are turning golden and red, and the nights are growing longer and darker. As the afternoon light begins to fade, we find ourselves approaching a small village. Perhaps a dozen cottages cluster together along a muddy lane. Smoke rises from chimneys, chickens peck in the dirt, a dog barks somewhere in the distance. The sound of a blacksmith's hammer rings out, then falls silent. The village is preparing for evening. Farmers are returning from the fields. Women are drawing water from the well. Children are being called indoors. The day's work is nearly done, and soon, very soon, darkness will settle over everything. Before we go further, let us pause for a moment to consider something that is difficult for us to imagine today, something that shaped every aspect of medieval life, especially medieval sleep. This is the quality of darkness. In our modern world, true darkness is rare. Even in the countryside, there is usually some light visible. Distant towns glow on the horizon. Street lights line the roads. Houses have lights in their windows. And in cities, the night sky itself is brightened by the collective glow of millions of bulbs. But in the medieval world, darkness was absolute. When the sun went down and the fire burned low, darkness was complete. You could hold your hand in front of your face and see nothing. The blackness was total. It surrounded you. It pressed against your eyes. This darkness was not frightening in the way we might imagine. For medieval people, it was simply a fact of life. It came every night without fail. It was as natural as breathing. But it shaped everything about how people lived and slept. Light was precious. Candles were expensive. Oil lamps required fuel that cost money. Most ordinary people could not afford to burn lights through the night. So when darkness came, activities stopped, work ceased, movement became difficult, and people turned toward sleep. The coming of night was not sudden, of course. There was the slow golden hour of sunset. There was the blue twilight that followed. There was the gradual deepening of shadows. Medieval people were deeply attuned to these transitions. They knew exactly how much light remained. They knew when to finish their tasks. They knew when to head indoors. And as the last light faded from the sky, a great quietness settled over the land. The sounds of daytime activity fell silent. The birds stopped singing. The world seemed to hold its breath, and into this silence came the sounds of night.
The hoot of an owl, the rustle of leaves in the wind, the distant bark of a fox, the creaking of cottage timbers settling in the cooling air. These were the sounds that accompanied medieval sleep. These were the last things people heard as they drifted off. Now let us step inside a typical medieval cottage as evening falls. This will be the home of an ordinary family, perhaps a farmer, his wife, and their children, perhaps an elderly grandparent as well. They are not wealthy, but neither are they desperately poor. They have enough to eat, they have a roof over their heads, they have each other. The cottage is small by modern standards. It has one main room, perhaps two. The walls are made of timber and wattle and daub, a mixture of sticks and mud and straw plastered together. The roof is thatched with dried reeds or straw. The floor is packed earth, perhaps covered with rushes or straw for warmth and cleanliness. In the center of the main room is the hearth, the fireplace. This is the heart of the home. All life revolves around it. The fire provides warmth. It provides light. It is used for cooking. In winter, the family gathers close to it.
The fire is never allowed to go completely out if it can be helped. Keeping the fire burning is one of the most important daily tasks. As darkness falls, the fire is the only source of light in the cottage. Its flickering orange glow illuminates the faces of the family. It casts dancing shadows on the walls. It creates a small circle of warmth and visibility in the surrounding darkness. The family has finished their evening meal. Perhaps it was a simple pottage, a thick stew of vegetables and grains, maybe with a little meat if times are good. Bread accompanied it, maybe some cheese, a cup of weak ale to drink. The food was filling and warm. It sits comfortably in their stomachs now. The mother is cleaning the last of the dishes. The father is checking the door, making sure the animals are secure in their shelter. The children are sitting by the fire, perhaps listening to a story or a song. The grandmother is already nodding off, her chin dropping toward her chest. There is no entertainment as we know it, no books to read, for most people cannot read and books are rare treasures, no music playing from a device, no images flickering on a screen. The evening entertainment is simple: conversation, stories told from memory, songs sung together, the company of family. And these simple pleasures are winding down now. The fire is being banked for the night, not extinguished, but covered with ash to keep the coals alive until morning. The room is growing dimmer, and one by one, the family members are preparing for sleep. Let us look now at where these people will sleep. The medieval bed was very different from what we know today. For ordinary people, the bed was often simply a place on the floor, a pile of straw covered with a rough cloth, perhaps a woolen blanket for warmth, perhaps a rolled-up cloak for a pillow. The straw provided some cushioning from the hard earth floor. It also provided some insulation from the cold ground. Fresh straw was added regularly. Old straw was removed when it became too flattened or dirty. The quality of the straw mattered. Wheat straw was considered best. It was softer and less prickly than other types, but any straw was better than none. Some families had a slightly better arrangement, a wooden frame with ropes stretched across it to support a straw-filled mattress. This raised the sleeper off the cold floor. It was more comfortable. It was considered a mark of modest prosperity. The mattress itself was called a palliasse or pallet. It was a large cloth sack filled with straw. Sometimes other materials were mixed in: dried leaves, feathers if the family could afford them, wool scraps, anything soft that could provide cushioning. Wealthier families had feather beds, mattresses filled entirely with goose down or duck feathers. These were luxurious items, expensive, prized possessions that were passed down through generations. They were soft and warm, a true comfort in the cold medieval nights. But most people slept on straw, and they slept close together. A family would share the same sleeping space, parents and children, sometimes grandparents too, sometimes even servants or laborers who worked for the family. This closeness was practical. Body heat was shared, warmth was preserved, blankets could be pooled, and there was comfort in the presence of others. The sound of breathing, the warmth of another body nearby, the knowledge that you were not alone in the darkness. As the family settles into their sleeping place, the sounds of night fill the cottage. The fire crackles softly, its flames now low. Occasionally, a log shifts, sending up a small shower of sparks. The embers glow orange and red in the darkness. Outside, the wind whispers through the thatch, a gentle sound, a breathing sound. The cottage timbers creak slightly as the temperature drops. These are familiar sounds, comforting sounds, the sounds of home settling into night. In the distance, an owl calls. a long, low hoot that echoes across the fields. Perhaps another owl answers. The call and response continues for a few minutes, then falls silent. Closer by, a mouse scratches somewhere in the walls, a tiny sound, barely audible, but in the deep quiet of the medieval night, even small sounds can be heard clearly. The family's dog curls up near the dying fire. It sighs contentedly and closes its eyes. Perhaps a cat is somewhere in the cottage too. Cats were valued in medieval homes for keeping mice away from stored grain. The breathing of the family members begins to slow and deepen. The children fall asleep first, as children do. Their small bodies relax completely. Their faces become peaceful. The adults follow more slowly. The worries of the day drift away. The muscles unclench. The mind grows quiet. And gradually, the cottage fills with the gentle symphony of sleep. Soft breathing, occasional sighs, the rustle of someone shifting position under the blankets. Outside, the vast medieval darkness stretches away in all directions. Stars wheel overhead in a sky unpolluted by artificial light. The Milky Way blazes across the heavens, brighter than we can imagine today.
The village sleeps. The fields sleep. The forests and hills sleep. And in the small cottage, our family sleeps too, safe and warm, together in the darkness, just as countless generations slept before them, just as countless generations would sleep after them. This is the beginning of a medieval night, and there is more to come. But for now, let the peace of this moment settle over you. Let the quiet fill your mind. Let the rhythm of ancient sleep carry you gently forward. To truly understand how medieval people slept, we must first understand how they lived. Their days shaped their nights. Their labors determined their rest. So let us step back a few hours and walk through a typical day in this medieval village. Let us see the rhythm of life that led to the peaceful sleep we witnessed. The day begins before sunrise. In the darkness of early morning, the first stirrings of life begin in the cottage. The mother rises first, perhaps. She moves carefully in the darkness, feeling her way to the hearth. She uncovers the banked coals. She adds small twigs and dried grass. She blows gently until flames catch. The fire comes back to life, casting its warm glow across the room. The rest of the family wakes slowly. There are no alarm clocks, no sudden jarring sounds, just the gradual awareness of movement and light, the smell of smoke, the sound of the fire crackling, perhaps the crowing of a rooster outside. These natural signals tell the body that night is ending, that a new day is beginning. The family rises from their straw beds. They do not change into different clothes. Most medieval people slept in the same garments they wore during the day. Perhaps they removed their outer layers. Perhaps they had a simple shift or tunic for sleeping. But the elaborate nightgowns and pajamas we know today did not exist for ordinary people. Morning ablutions are simple. A splash of cold water on the face from a basin, perhaps a quick prayer of thanks for surviving the night. In an age when death could come suddenly from illness or accident, each new morning was genuinely a blessing. People did not take their waking for granted. Breakfast is modest, perhaps some leftover bread from the previous day, a cup of weak ale, maybe some cheese or a bit of cold pottage. There is no elaborate morning meal, no time for leisure. The day's work must begin. For most villagers, work means farming. The fields surround the village in long strips. Each family works their assigned strips of land. They do not own this land outright. It belongs to the lord of the manor.
but they have the right to farm it. In exchange, they owe the Lord a portion of their harvest. They also owe him labor on his own fields on certain days. The farmer shoulders his tools and walks out to the fields, a wooden plow, a hoe, a scythe for cutting grain. These tools are simple but effective. They have been used for generations. The farmer knows exactly how to handle them. His hands are calloused from years of work. His back is strong from bending and lifting. The work is hard. There is no machinery to help, no tractors, no engines. Everything is done by human muscle and animal power. An ox might pull the plow, a horse might carry heavy loads, but most of the work falls on human shoulders. In autumn, when our story takes place, the harvest work is mostly done, but there are still tasks to complete. Fields must be cleared of stubble. The ground must be prepared for winter. Fences must be repaired. Ditches must be cleaned. There is always work to do on a medieval farm. The farmer works steadily through the morning. The sun climbs higher in the sky. The air warms slightly. By midday, it is time for a brief rest. The farmer sits in the shade of a tree. He eats some bread and cheese that his wife packed for him. He drinks from a leather flask of ale. For a few precious minutes, he rests his tired muscles. Then the afternoon work begins. More of the same, steady, rhythmic labor. The body falls into familiar patterns. The mind can wander while the hands keep working. The farmer thinks about his family, about the coming winter, about the feast day that will happen soon, about nothing at all. As the sun begins to sink toward the horizon, the farmer gathers his tools. He begins the walk back to the village. His body is tired, but satisfied. A good day's work, another day closer to winter rest. While the farmer labors in the fields, his wife is equally busy at home. The work of medieval women was endless and essential. Without their labor, the household could not function. The morning begins with tending the fire, making sure it burns steadily. Then there are animals to feed. Most families keep a few chickens, perhaps a pig, maybe a goat or cow. These animals need care every day. Water, food, their shelters must be cleaned. Then there is food to prepare. The pottage pot hangs over the fire, simmering constantly. Vegetables are chopped and added. Grains are stirred in. The stew thickens slowly throughout the day. Bread must be made. Dough is kneaded with strong hands. It is left to rise near the warm fire. Later, it will be baked in a communal oven or in the coals of the hearth. Water must be fetched from the village well. This is heavy work. The wooden buckets are awkward to carry. The well may be some distance from the cottage. Multiple trips are needed each day. Water for drinking, water for cooking, water for washing. Laundry is done less frequently than we might do it today, but when it is done, it is exhausting work. Clothes are carried to the stream or pond. They are beaten against rocks to loosen the dirt. They are scrubbed with rough soap. They are wrung out by hand. Then they are spread on bushes to dry. The children must be watched and cared for, fed and cleaned, taught the skills they will need when they grow up. Even young children have small tasks to perform: gathering eggs, fetching kindling, helping with simple food preparation. And throughout all of this, there is spinning. Almost every medieval woman spent hours each day spinning thread. A spindle and distaff were constant companions. While watching the pot, while minding the children, while sitting by the fire in the evening, the hands were always busy twisting raw wool or flax into usable thread. This thread would later be woven into cloth. Cloth for clothing, cloth for blankets, cloth for everything the family needed. It was slow, patient work, but it was absolutely necessary. let us look more closely at the medieval cottage that sheltered this hard-working family. Understanding their home helps us understand their sleep. The cottage is small, perhaps 20 feet long and 12 feet wide, one main room where most of life takes place, perhaps a small addition for storage or for animals in winter. The walls are thick, but not well insulated by modern standards. Cold air seeps through cracks. Dampness is a constant problem.
The floor is earth-packed, hard and cold. The rushes or straw scattered on it provide some warmth and help keep it clean, but the floor is never truly comfortable. This is why beds, even simple straw pallets, are raised whenever possible. The windows are small. Glass is expensive and rare in ordinary homes. Instead, windows might be covered with oiled cloth or parchment. This lets in some light while keeping out some wind, but it also keeps the interior dim even during the day. Or the windows might simply have wooden shutters, open during the day for light and air, closed at night against the darkness and cold. The thatched roof is surprisingly effective. It keeps out rain when properly maintained, it provides some insulation, but it also harbors creatures. Mice nest in the thatch, insects make their homes there, birds sometimes pull out straws for their own nests. The roof is alive in its own way. Smoke from the fire fills the upper part of the cottage. There may be a hole in the roof to let some smoke escape, but the air inside is never completely clear. This smoke has benefits, though. It helps preserve meat hung in the rafters. It discourages insects. The family is accustomed to it. They barely notice it anymore. Furniture is minimal. A wooden table, some stools or benches, perhaps a chest for storing valuables, pegs on the wall for hanging clothes and tools, shelves for dishes and supplies. Everything is simple, everything is functional. There is no room for luxury or decoration. This is the world the family returns to each evening, simple, rough, but home. The place where they gather, the place where they eat together, the place where they sleep together, the place that shelters them from the vast medieval darkness outside. Now let us widen our view, beyond the individual cottage, beyond the single family. Let us see the village as a whole, the community that surrounded and supported each family. For medieval people did not live in isolation. Their lives were deeply intertwined with their neighbors. The village is a tight-knit community. Everyone knows everyone else. Families have lived here for generations. Marriages connect different households. Children play together. Adults work together. Old people remember the parents and grandparents of today's villagers. This closeness has many benefits. Help is always available in times of trouble. If a cottage catches fire, the whole village turns out to fight the flames. If a farmer falls ill during harvest, his neighbors help bring in his crops. If a widow is left alone, the community makes sure she does not starve. But this closeness also means there are few secrets. Everyone knows everyone else's business. Gossip spreads quickly. Quarrels between neighbors can simmer for years. There is no anonymity, no privacy in the modern sense. Your life is lived in full view of the community. Once a week, or perhaps once a month, the village comes alive with the excitement of market day. Farmers bring their surplus crops to sell. Craftsmen display their wares. Traveling merchants arrive with goods from distant places. The small village square fills with people and noise and color. The market is an explosion of sensory experience. The calls of sellers advertising their goods, the bleating of sheep and goats being traded, the smell of fresh bread and roasting meat, the bright colors of dyed cloth, the glitter of simple jewelry. For villagers whose daily lives are quiet and routine, market day is thrilling. People come from surrounding villages, the crowd swells, news is exchanged, prices are haggled, friendships are renewed.
Young men and women eye each other with interest. Perhaps marriages will result from these market day meetings. The goods for sale are both local and exotic. Local farmers sell vegetables, grain, eggs, and cheese. Local craftsmen offer pottery, baskets, leather goods, and tools. But traveling merchants bring wonders from far away, spices from the east, cloth from Flanders, wine from France, salt from distant mines. These luxury goods are expensive. Most villagers can only look and dream, but some make small purchases, a tiny amount of pepper to flavor special meals, a ribbon for a daughter's hair, a small treat to brighten ordinary life. By late afternoon, the market winds down. Sellers pack up their remaining goods, the crowd thins, the village square returns to its usual quiet. But the excitement lingers. Stories from market day will be told and retold for days to come. At the heart of village life stands the church. The stone building rises above the humble cottages around it. Its tower can be seen from the fields. Its bells mark the hours of the day. Its door is always open to those who seek comfort or guidance. Religion is not a separate part of medieval life. It is woven into everything. The day begins with prayer. The day ends with prayer. Meals are blessed before eating. Work is offered up to God. Every joy is a gift from heaven. Every sorrow is a test of faith. The church calendar shapes the year. Christmas, Easter, saints' days, fast days, feast days, holy days of obligation. These religious occasions provide rhythm and meaning to the passing seasons. They give people something to anticipate, something to prepare for, something to celebrate. Sunday is a day of rest. Work in the fields stops. The family puts on their best clothes, which are not very different from their everyday clothes, but are cleaner and less patched. They walk to the church for Mass. The service is in Latin, which most villagers do not understand, but the ritual is familiar and comforting. The incense, the chanting, the priest's vestments, the flickering candles. After Mass, the churchyard becomes a social gathering place. Families linger to talk, children play among the gravestones of their ancestors, announcements are made, banns are read for upcoming marriages, news is shared. This is the social media of the medieval world, the place where information spreads and connections are made. The family is the foundation of medieval society. Extended families often live close together, grandparents in one cottage, children and grandchildren in the next, aunts and uncles nearby, cousins everywhere. The family network provides support and security in an uncertain world. Marriage is an economic arrangement as much as a romantic one. Families negotiate matches that will benefit both sides: land, animals, tools, social connections. These practical considerations matter greatly, but love can grow within these arranged marriages. Many couples develop deep affection over years of shared work and shared life. Children are welcomed as blessings and as future workers. They are put to useful tasks as soon as they are able, but they are also loved and cherished. Medieval parents feel the same fierce protective love that parents feel today. They worry about their children. They sacrifice for them. They mourn when illness takes them too soon.
Illness takes many. Childhood mortality is high. Diseases we can easily treat today were death sentences in medieval times. Many parents bury multiple children. This grief is woven into the fabric of medieval life. It makes the surviving children all the more precious. Death is always nearby. Life is fragile. People understand this in their bones. Perhaps this is why they hold their families close at night, why they sleep together in one room, why the sound of breathing around them is so comforting. Each night together is a gift. Each morning of waking together is a blessing. Life is not all work and worry. The medieval calendar includes many occasions for celebration. Feast days break the routine of labor. They give people something to look forward to, something to prepare for with excitement. The harvest festival is one of the most joyous occasions. When the grain is safely gathered and stored, the whole village celebrates. There is feasting, more food than usual, better food, meat and fresh bread and ale flowing freely. There is music. Someone brings out a fiddle or a flute. Old songs are sung. People dance in the village square. There is laughter, jokes and stories, the release of tension after the hard work of harvest. For one evening, at least, worries are set aside. The future seems secure. There is enough food to see the village through winter. God has blessed the community with abundance. Christmas is another time of celebration. The darkest time of year is brightened by feasting and fellowship. The church is decorated with greenery. Special services are held. Families gather for the best meal they will eat all year. Gifts are exchanged, though simple ones by our standards. These celebrations are not just entertainment. They bind the community together. They reinforce social bonds. They remind people of their shared identity. We are this village. We are these families. We belong to each other. And after the celebration, sleep comes easily. Bellies are full. Hearts are light. The fire burns bright. The family settles into their beds with smiles still lingering on their faces. The joy of community carries them into peaceful dreams. Daily life involves constant interaction with neighbors. Borrowing and lending is common. Can I borrow your ox to pull my plow tomorrow? May I have some of your yeast for my bread? I will return the favor when you need something. Women gather at the well to draw water. They stand and talk while their buckets fill. They share news and gossip. They complain about their husbands and brag about their children. They laugh together. They support each other through hard times. Men meet in the fields. They work near each other. They call out greetings. They stop to chat when they rest. They help each other when help is needed. They compete in friendly ways. Whose crops are growing better? Who finished plowing first? The village alehouse is a gathering place for men in the evenings. Weak ale is served, stronger drink on special occasions. Men sit on rough benches and talk about the weather, about the crops, about the Lord and his demands, about politics in the wider world, of which they know only rumors. These daily interactions weave a web of relationships. Everyone has a place in this web. Everyone has roles and responsibilities. Everyone knows what is expected of them. There is comfort in this predictability, security in this belonging. And at night, when the village sleeps, this web of relationships continues to exist. The family in one cottage is connected to the family in the next. The whole village breathes together in the darkness. A community asleep. A community that will wake together when the sun rises once more. Let us now look more deeply at how medieval people earned their living, how they survived in a world without the safety nets we take for granted today. Understanding their struggles helps us appreciate the profound relief that sleep brought them each night, the escape from toil, the rest that restored their weary bodies. The medieval economy was based on land. Land was everything. Those who owned land held power. Those who worked the land served those who owned it. This was the feudal system, a pyramid of obligations and duties that organized all of society. At the top sat the king. Below him, the great nobles. Below them, the lesser lords. Below them, the knights. And at the bottom, the vast majority of the population, the peasants, the farmers, the workers who produced everything that everyone else consumed. Our village family belongs to this bottom tier. They are not slaves. They have rights and protections under the law and custom, but they are not free in the way we understand freedom. They are bound to the land, bound to their lord, bound to their place in society. Each week they owe their lord certain days of labor, perhaps 2 or 3 days. On these days they work his fields instead of their own. They plow his land, they harvest his crops, they repair his buildings, they maintain his roads. This labor rent is the price of their tenancy. In addition, they owe him a portion of their own harvest, a tenth of their grain, a portion of their animals, fees for using his mill to grind their flour, fees for using his oven to bake their bread, fees for gathering wood in his forest. The Lord takes his share at every turn. What remains is theirs, and it must be enough to feed the family through the year, enough to set aside seed for next year's planting, enough to trade for the things they cannot produce themselves, salt, iron, cloth they cannot make, pottery, tools. There is no margin for error. A bad harvest means hunger. 2 bad harvests in a row can mean starvation. Disease among the animals can wipe out a family's wealth in weeks. A fire can destroy everything they have built over generations. This is the reality of medieval life. Survival is never guaranteed. Each season brings new risks. Each year is a gamble. And yet, people persevere. They work hard. They plan carefully. They help each other. They pray for good fortune. And somehow, most years, they survive. Not everyone in the medieval world works the land. Villages and towns also need craftsmen, people with specialized skills who produce the goods that farmers cannot make for themselves. The blacksmith is perhaps the most essential craftsman. He works iron into tools, plowshares, hoes, sickles, scythes, nails, hinges, horseshoes. Without the blacksmith, farming would be nearly impossible. His forge burns hot in a small workshop. The ring of his hammer on the anvil echoes through the village. Sparks fly as he shapes glowing metal. The blacksmith's work is hard and hot. He stands before the fire for hours. He swings the heavy hammer hundreds of times each day. His arms are thick with muscle. His face is weathered from the heat. By evening, he is exhausted. The cool air outside his forge feels like a blessing, and sleep, when it comes, is deep and immediate.
The carpenter works with wood. He builds cottages and barns. He makes furniture, tables and stools and chests. He carves bowls and spoons. He repairs carts and wagons. His tools are precious to him, saws and chisels and planes. He keeps them sharp and clean. His workshop smells of sawdust and fresh-cut timber. The potter shapes clay into useful vessels, bowls for eating, jugs for drinking, pots for cooking, storage jars for keeping grain and dried foods. The potter's wheel spins as skilled hands draw shapes from shapeless clay. The kiln fires and transforms soft mud into hard ceramic. The weaver turns thread into cloth. The great loom dominates the weaving workshop. The shuttle passes back and forth. The pattern grows slowly. This is women's work usually, patient and repetitive. The rhythm of the loom is almost hypnotic. Weavers sometimes fall into a kind of trance as they work. Their hands move automatically while their minds drift. The miller grinds grain into flour. His mill sits beside the stream. The great water wheel turns endlessly, powered by the flowing water. The grinding stones rumble and roar. Flour dust fills the air. The miller's clothes are always white with it. His lungs, too, suffer from years of breathing the fine powder. Each of these craftsmen has their own rhythm of work, their own tools and techniques, their own pride in their skill. And each of them, when evening comes, sets down their tools with relief. Another day's work done, another day's survival secured. Medieval people lived much closer to nature than we do today. They were exposed to its beauty and its danger in equal measure, and their survival depended on understanding and respecting the natural world. Weather could make or break a harvest. Too much rain rotted the crops in the fields. Too little rain withered them where they stood. Late frost killed tender spring shoots. Early frost ended the growing season before crops were ripe. Hailstorms could destroy a field in minutes. Strong winds could flatten mature grain, making it impossible to harvest. People watched the sky constantly. They knew the signs of changing weather. They could read the clouds. They noticed how animals behaved before storms. They paid attention to their aching joints, which often predicted rain. This knowledge was passed down through generations. It was essential for survival. Disease was an ever-present threat. The Great Plague had swept through Europe, killing millions. Even in ordinary years, illness claimed many lives. Fevers and fluxes, coughs that would not heal, infections from small wounds. Childbirth was dangerous for mothers and babies alike. Many did not survive. There were no effective medicines as we know them. Herbs and prayers were the main treatments. Some herbal remedies actually worked. Willow bark for pain, honey for wounds, but many illnesses simply had to run their course. The sick either recovered or they did not, and far too many did not. Accidents were common and often fatal. A fall from a horse, a kick from an ox, a tree falling the wrong way, a slip into the mill pond. Life was physical and dangerous. One moment of carelessness could end everything. And yet people found joy. They loved their families. They celebrated their festivals. They sang their songs. They told their stories. They found beauty in a sunset and peace in a quiet night. The precariousness of life perhaps made its pleasures sweeter. Each day was a gift to be savored. Now let us turn to the hours we have been waiting for, the evening, the approach of night, the time when the medieval world shifted from labor to rest, from activity to quiet, from wakefulness to sleep. As the afternoon sun begins its descent toward the horizon, the rhythm of the day changes. Workers in the fields look up and judge the remaining light. There is perhaps an hour more of work time, perhaps less. They begin to finish their current tasks. They do not start new ones. The light takes on a golden quality. Long shadows stretch across the land. The air begins to cool. Birds that have been quiet during the heat of the day begin to sing again. The world seems to pause and take a breath. One by one, the workers leave the fields. They shoulder their tools and begin the walk home. Their bodies are tired, but their spirits lift. The day is ending. Rest is coming. The evening meal awaits. In the village, the women have anticipated this hour. The pottage has been simmering all day. It is thick and rich now. Bread has been baked. The cottage has been tidied. Everything is ready for the family's return. The farmer enters his cottage. He sets down his tools by the door. His wife greets him. The children run to embrace him. There is a simple joy in this reunion. The family is together again. The day has passed safely. The family gathers around the wooden table for the evening meal. This is the main meal of the day, the largest, the most leisurely, a time for the family to be together and share the events of the day. The pottage is ladled into wooden bowls, thick and steaming, vegetables soft from hours of cooking, perhaps some bits of meat if times are good. The broth is rich and flavorful, simple by our standards, but satisfying to hungry workers. Bread is broken and shared, dark bread, coarse and heavy, made from rye or barley or a mixture of grains, not the light white bread of the wealthy, but bread nonetheless, the staff of life. Ale washes down the meal. Weak ale, not enough to intoxicate. Even children drink it. The water is not always safe, but the brewing process makes ale reliable. It quenches thirst and provides some nourishment of its own. The family eats in companionable silence at first. They are hungry. The food deserves attention. But as bellies fill, conversation begins. The farmer describes his work in the fields. His wife reports on the household. The children share small adventures. The grandmother offers observations and memories. This is the social hour of the medieval day. No other obligations compete for attention. No one needs to rush off to other activities. The family has this time together. It is precious and savored. The meal ends gradually. The last of the bread is used to soak up the last of the pottage. Bowls are pushed aside. People lean back from the table with satisfied sighs. The work of eating is done. Now begins a precious time, the interval between the evening meal and sleep, the quiet hours when the medieval family rested and connected before the darkness became complete. The fire is the center of attention. Family members draw close to its warmth. The flames provide light for small tasks. The mother might spin while there is still enough light to see. The father might repair a tool or sharpen a blade. The children might play simple games with pebbles or string. This is the family time in the medieval world, a quiet and intimate time before the deepening shadows made a close to end another day in their precarious world.
But there is no urgency to these activities. They are ways of occupying the hands while the mind relaxes. They can be set aside at any moment. They do not demand the full attention that daytime work requires. Conversation flows easily. Stories are told, old stories that everyone has heard before, but they are comfortable in their familiarity. Tales of family history, legends of saints and heroes, fables with talking animals and moral lessons. The voice of the storyteller rises and falls in practiced rhythms. Sometimes there is music. Someone might sing a ballad, old songs passed down through generations, songs of love and loss, songs of brave deeds, songs that mark the seasons and the holidays. The melodies are simple but haunting. They linger in the mind even after the singing stops. The children listen with wide eyes. They absorb these stories and songs. They are learning the culture of their people, the values and beliefs that will guide their lives. This is how knowledge passes from generation to generation, not in books, but in voices, in the quiet hours before sleep. The fire burns lower, the light dims. One by one, family members begin to yawn. The grandmother nods off in her corner, her spinning forgotten. The children's eyes grow heavy. Even the adults feel the pull of sleep. Going to bed in medieval times was not like flipping a switch. It was a gradual process, a ritual with its own rhythms and requirements. Let us observe as our family prepares for sleep. The father banks the fire for the night. This is an important skill. He covers the burning logs with ash, depriving them of air. The flames die down, but the coals remain alive beneath the ash. In the morning, he will uncover them and add kindling. The fire will spring back to life. This saves the trouble of starting a new fire from scratch, which is difficult and time-consuming. The door is secured, not locked, perhaps. Locks are expensive, but barred with a heavy wooden beam.
This keeps out animals and provides some protection against intruders, though in truth the village is safe. Everyone knows everyone. Crime is rare and harshly punished. The animals that share the cottage settle down. In winter especially, farm animals might be brought inside. Their body heat helps warm the space. A cow or ox at one end of the cottage, the family at the other, separated perhaps by a low partition. The sounds and smells of the animals are familiar, comforting even, signs of wealth and security. The family makes their way to the sleeping area. The straw mattresses are arranged, blankets are spread, bodies find their accustomed positions. Parents in the middle, children on either side, grandmother in her own corner, wrapped in her own blankets. There is rustling and shifting as everyone gets comfortable. The straw crinkles beneath them, blankets are adjusted, cold feet seek warm spots. Gradually, stillness settles over the group. Before sleep comes prayer. This is nearly universal in the medieval world. The day ends as it began, with words offered to God. The father might lead the prayer, simple words spoken into the darkness, thanks for the day's blessings, the food that filled their bellies, the work that was accomplished, the health of the family, the roof over their heads. Requests for protection through the night. Night was dangerous in the medieval mind. Darkness held terrors both real and imagined. Wolves prowled in the forests. Thieves might lurk on the roads. Evil spirits were believed to be more active when the sun was gone. Prayer offered protection against all these dangers. Remembrance of the dead, those who have gone before, parents and grandparents, children lost too soon. They are not forgotten. They are mentioned by name. Their memory is kept alive. The prayer ends with an amen. All voices join in this final word. Then silence. The prayer is complete. The day is complete. Now there is nothing left but sleep. Here we encounter one of the most fascinating aspects of medieval sleep, something that might surprise you, something that shows how different their experience of night was from ours. Medieval people did not sleep in one long stretch as we typically do today. Instead, they practiced what historians call segmented sleep or biphasic sleep. They slept in two distinct periods, separated by a time of wakefulness in the middle of the night. The first sleep began when darkness fell. The family settled into their beds, as we have described. They drifted off as the fire died to embers. This first sleep might last 3 or 4 hours, sometimes longer. Then, sometime in the deep of night, they would wake, not suddenly or with alarm, but naturally, gently. Their bodies simply emerged from sleep as if surfacing from deep water. This middle-of-the-night wakefulness was considered normal, expected, even valued. People had a name for it, the watching, the time between sleeps. What did they do during this time? Many things. Some simply lay in the darkness, thinking, reflecting on the day past and the day to come, processing their experiences that daytime busyness did not allow. Some prayed. This was considered an especially holy time for prayer. The quiet and darkness were conducive to spiritual contemplation. Monks and nuns structured their religious observances around this pattern, rising for midnight prayers. Some talked softly with their bedfellows. Husbands and wives had intimate conversations. This was often a time for physical intimacy as well. In the crowded medieval household, the watching hours offered rare privacy. Some got up and moved around, checked on the fire, looked in on the animals, stepped outside to relieve themselves. The darkness was less frightening when you were rested and alert. After an hour or so of wakefulness, sleep would return, the second sleep. This was often described as deeper and more refreshing than the first. The body had rested, awakened, and now settled into an even more profound state of rest. This second sleep lasted until dawn, until the light began to creep into the cottage, until the rooster crowed, until the body naturally woke to begin another day. This pattern of segmented sleep was so common that it was simply taken for granted. References to first sleep and second sleep appear throughout medieval literature. People assumed everyone slept this way because everyone did. The transition to our modern pattern of consolidated sleep happened gradually. As artificial lighting became cheaper and more available, people began staying awake later into the night. The first sleep was pushed later and later. Eventually, the watching hours disappeared. Sleep became one continuous block. But in the medieval world we're visiting, the old pattern still holds. The night is long, 8 or 10 or 12 hours of darkness depending on the season, and sleep fills this darkness in its own natural way. First sleep, watching. Second sleep, dawn.
Let us yourselves imagine this rhythm now. The gentle surrender to first sleep, the quiet wakefulness in the deep of night, the return to even deeper rest, the natural awakening with the light. There is something peaceful about this pattern, something that does not fight against the body's rhythms, but flows with them. Something worth remembering as you settle into your own rest tonight. As we rest here in the quiet darkness of the medieval night, let us explore some additional details about sleep in this distant age. Small facts and observations that bring the past into clearer focus. Details that help us understand just how different the experience of sleep was for our ancestors. Let us begin with the matter of bedding. We have spoken of straw mattresses and simple blankets, but there is more to say about the materials that cushioned medieval sleep. Pillows, as we know them, were not common among ordinary people. The wealthy might have pillows stuffed with feathers or down, soft and luxurious. But most people rested their heads on simpler supports, a rolled-up cloak or tunic, a sack filled with straw or chaff. Some used a wooden headrest, hard by our standards, but sufficient for those accustomed to it. The mattress itself required regular attention. Straw compresses over time. It loses its springiness. It can become damp and begin to rot or mold. Every few weeks, the old straw was removed and fresh straw was added. This was a household chore like any other, part of the rhythm of maintenance that kept the home livable. In summer, dried herbs might be mixed with the straw. Lavender, mint, rosemary. These pleasant scents helped mask less pleasant odors. They were also believed to promote restful sleep and keep away insects. The practice of using herbs in bedding continued for centuries. Even today, some people tuck sachets of lavender under their pillows. Blankets were precious possessions. Good woolen blankets took many hours to produce. The wool had to be sheared from sheep, cleaned and carded, spun into thread, woven into cloth, perhaps dyed with expensive colors. The finished blanket represented an enormous investment of labor. Families passed blankets down through generations. A well-made blanket might outlast the person who made it. In wealthy households, beds were more elaborate. Heavy wooden frames with carved decorations, curtains hanging from posts to provide privacy and block drafts. Multiple mattresses stacked on top of each other. The bottom mattress filled with straw, the top one filled with feathers. Sheets of linen, pillows stuffed with down. These beds were major pieces of furniture. They were prominently displayed. They demonstrated the wealth and status of their owners. Such grand beds were often located in the main hall of a manor house. Guests would see them and be impressed.
The bed was a symbol of prosperity, a statement of social position. Only gradually did beds move into private chambers. Privacy was a luxury that developed slowly over centuries. The medieval understanding of sleep was deeply communal. People did not expect to sleep alone. Sleeping alone was unusual, perhaps even suspicious. What was wrong with someone who slept by themselves? Families slept together, as we have described. But the sharing went beyond family. Travelers sharing a room at an inn would share a bed. Complete strangers might sleep side by side. This was normal and expected. The warmth of another body was welcome on cold nights. The presence of another person was reassuring in the darkness. Even servants in great households shared beds. Several servants might sleep in one bed. Apprentices learning a trade slept with other apprentices. Students at universities shared beds. The idea of every person having their own private bed was simply not part of medieval thinking. This communal sleeping had practical benefits. Warmth was conserved. Space was used efficiently. Blankets and bedding were shared rather than duplicated. In a world where resources were limited, sharing made sense. But there were also social dimensions to shared sleep. Sleeping beside someone created bonds. It required trust. It built intimacy. Sharing a bed was often a sign of friendship or alliance. Nobles might honor a guest by inviting them to share the noble's own bed. This was not strange. It was a mark of high favor. Children learned from an early age that sleep was a shared experience. They grew up surrounded by the breathing and warmth of family members. The sounds and sensations of other sleepers were part of sleep itself. The transition to sleeping alone, if it ever happened, came only in adulthood. And even then, marriage meant returning to shared sleep. Let us pause now to listen. To really listen to the sounds that filled the medieval night. These were the backdrop against which all sleep occurred, the constant companions of darkness. First, the sounds inside the cottage, the breathing of the family, slow and rhythmic, some soft, some louder. Perhaps someone snores. This is a familiar sound. It has been part of human sleep for all of history. The family is used to each other's sleeping sounds. They find them comforting rather than disturbing. The fire crackles occasionally. Even banked and covered with ash, it makes small sounds. A log settling, a pocket of sap popping, the hiss of steam. These sounds say that warmth remains, that the fire still lives. They are reassuring. The animals stir now and then. A cow shifts its weight. A chicken ruffles its feathers. A dog scratches and sighs. These sounds are alive and present. They are the sounds of the household, the family of creatures that shares this space. The cottage itself makes sounds. Timber creaks as temperatures change. Thatch rustles in the wind. The door shifts slightly in its frame. The house is speaking in its own language, telling its own story of age and weather and time. Now let us listen beyond the cottage, to the sounds of the village and the countryside beyond. Wind moves through the trees, a soft rushing sound, sometimes gentle like whispered secrets, sometimes stronger, making the branches groan. The wind carries scents as well as sounds, the smell of distant rain, the fragrance of hayfields, the smoke from other cottages. Night birds call in the darkness. The owl is most distinctive. Its long hooting carries across the fields. But other birds are active too. The nightjar with its churring song, the occasional shriek of a barn owl. These sounds are wild and ancient. They connect the medieval night to nights thousands of years before. Animals move in the darkness beyond the village. A fox barks somewhere in the distance, a sharp, eerie sound. Deer move through the forest, their hooves soft on the leaf litter. Badgers and hedgehogs rustle through undergrowth. Mice and voles scurry through the grass. And sometimes, rarely, more dangerous sounds. The howls of wolves, still present in medieval England, though growing rare. The wolves keep their distance from villages, but their voices carry far in the night, a reminder that the wild is never far away. The church bell marks the hours. Even through the night, the bell rings at intervals, calling monks to their prayers, marking the passage of time. The sound is distant and muffled from inside the cottage, but it is there, a reminder of the sacred structure of time, a connection to the wider world beyond the village. What did medieval people dream, and what did they think about their dreams? This is a fascinating window into their understanding of sleep and consciousness.
Dreams were taken seriously in the medieval world. They were not dismissed as random brain activity. They were believed to have meaning, perhaps messages from God, perhaps warnings from angels, perhaps temptations from demons. Dreams mattered. The Bible was full of significant dreams. Joseph interpreting Pharaoh's dreams in Egypt, Daniel interpreting Nebuchadnezzar's dreams in Babylon. The wise men warned in a dream not to return to Herod. Medieval people knew these stories well. They understood that God could speak through dreams. Some dreams were considered prophetic. They foretold the future. A dream of death might predict an actual death. A dream of plenty might predict good harvest. People paid attention to their dreams. They tried to interpret them. They shared significant dreams with family and community. But there was also suspicion of dreams. The devil was believed to send false dreams, tempting visions designed to lead people astray, disturbing nightmares that troubled the soul. The line between divine dreams and demonic ones was not always clear. Discernment was needed. Books existed to help interpret dreams. Dream manuals listed common dream images and their meanings. To dream of a horse meant one thing. To dream of water meant another. These interpretations were not scientifically based, of course, but they provided a framework for understanding the mysterious experiences of sleep. Medieval people also recognized what we might call ordinary dreams, dreams that processed daily experiences, dreams that reflected worries and hopes, dreams that were simply the mind at play during sleep. Not every dream was a message from beyond. Some were just dreams. But even ordinary dreams were treated with respect. They were part of the mystery of human existence, part of the soul's journey through the night. Sleep was not merely physical rest. It was a time when the soul had experiences of its own. Dreams were evidence of that inner life. Medieval people had a complex relationship with night. It was both feared and loved, dangerous and peaceful, a time of vulnerability and a time of rest. The fears were real. Darkness concealed dangers. Criminals preferred to work at night. Accidents were more likely when you could not see. Fires could start and spread while people slept. Illness could take sudden turns in the night hours. People died in their sleep.
The night held genuine threats. Supernatural fears added to the anxiety. Ghosts were believed to walk at night. Demons prowled the darkness. Witches were thought to be more powerful after sunset. Evil spirits of all kinds became active when the sun went down. These beliefs were real to medieval people. The night was spiritually dangerous as well as physically dangerous. And yet, night was also beautiful. The stars blazed with a brilliance we can hardly imagine today. Without light pollution, the night sky was spectacular. The Milky Way stretched across the heavens like a river of light. Shooting stars streaked regularly. The moon in its phases cast silver light across the landscape. Medieval people looked up and felt wonder. Night was also peaceful. The noise and activity of day ceased. A great quiet settled over the world. The constant demands of work stopped. There was time to think, to pray, to simply be. Night offered escape from the relentless busyness of daylight hours. Sleep itself was welcomed as a blessing. The tired body longed for rest. The weary mind sought relief. Sleep came as a gift, a mercy after hard labor, a restoration of strength. People looked forward to sleep. They did not resist it. They surrendered to it with gratitude. And now, as our journey through medieval sleep draws toward its close, let us settle into a place of deep stillness. Let us allow the pace of our storytelling to slow even further, like a river widening as it approaches the sea. Imagine yourself now as a traveler who has visited this medieval world. You have walked through villages. You have smelled the smoke of cottage fires. You have heard the church bells marking the hours. You have felt the rhythm of life that followed the sun. You have seen how people lived close to the earth, how they worked with their hands and their bodies, how they depended on each other, how they found joy in simple things, a warm meal, a song by the fire, the company of family. And you have seen how they slept, not in isolation, but together, not fighting the darkness, but accepting it, not struggling against natural rhythms, but flowing with them. Their sleep was different from ours, and yet, in many ways, it was the same. For sleep itself has not changed. The need for rest is eternal. The surrender of consciousness is universal. The journey into dreams is shared by all humans across all history. When medieval people closed their eyes and drifted off, they experienced something we still experience every night.
The body relaxing, the breathing slowing, the thoughts becoming loose and dreamlike, the gradual dissolution of waking awareness, the descent into that mysterious state we call sleep. Let yourself now imagine one final scene, a medieval cottage in the deep of night. The fire has burned to glowing embers. The family sleeps peacefully on their straw beds. Blankets are pulled up against the cool air. Outside, the world is quiet. The village rests. The fields lie empty under the stars. The forests are still. Even the night creatures have settled into their own forms of rest. The moon has risen, casting pale light through the small window. It falls in a soft rectangle on the floor of the cottage. It touches the sleeping faces of the family with gentle silver. They do not wake. They are far down in the depths of sleep. A dog lies by the dying fire. Its eyes are closed. Its legs twitch occasionally as it dreams its dog dreams. Perhaps it chases rabbits through endless meadows.
Perhaps it runs beside its master through fields of golden wheat. The hours pass slowly. There is no clock ticking, no sense of time slipping away. The night simply exists, vast and deep and endless. The family floats in sleep like boats on a still lake. Somewhere toward the middle of the night, one of the adults stirs. The first sleep is ending. Consciousness returns, slowly. Eyes open in the darkness. There is no alarm, no urgency, just quiet awareness. For a few minutes, the waking person lies still, listening to the breathing of family members, feeling the warmth of bodies nearby, thinking slow thoughts that drift like clouds across the sky of the mind. Then sleep returns. The second sleep begins, deeper than the first, more complete. The body sinks into the straw mattress. The mind releases its last hold on waking thoughts. Dreams come, strange and beautiful and forgotten by morning. This is how our ancestors slept for hundreds of years, for thousands of years, in cottages and castles, in villages and towns, across Europe and across the world. Human beings have been sleeping this way since the beginning of time. And something of that ancient pattern remains in us. Our bodies still know the rhythms of day and night. Our minds still need the restoration that sleep provides. We are connected to all those who have slept before us. We are part of an unbroken chain of sleepers stretching back through all of history. Tonight, as you drift toward your own sleep, you join that chain. You become part of that ancient tradition. Your breathing slows just as medieval breathers slowed. Your body relaxes just as medieval bodies relaxed. Your consciousness fades just as countless consciousnesses have faded night after night, century after century. There is nothing you need to do now, nothing you need to think about, nothing you need to worry over. The medieval villagers did not worry as they fell asleep. They simply surrendered to the darkness. They trusted that morning would come. They let go. You can let go too. Whatever concerns you have, they can wait until morning. Whatever tasks remain undone, they will still be there tomorrow. This moment is for rest. This moment is for peace. This moment is for sleep. Let the images of the medieval world fade now. Let them become soft and indistinct, like a painting seen through mist, like a memory half remembered. The cottage dissolves, the village fades, the fields and forests blur into gentle darkness. All that remains is a feeling, a sense of peace, a connection to the past. Your own room surrounds you now. Your own bed supports you. Your own blankets warm you. But something of that medieval peace remains, a slowness, a stillness, a sense of time stretching out endlessly. Your breathing has become slow and even. Your body has become heavy and relaxed. Your thoughts have become soft and dreamy. You are drifting, floating, descending gently toward sleep. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. The world will take care of itself for a few hours. Your only task now is to rest, to sleep, to dream. The darkness is kind. The silence is welcoming. The night holds you gently, as it has held countless sleepers before you. You are safe. You are warm. You are at peace. Let yourself sink deeper. Let your eyes grow heavy if they have not already closed. Let your muscles release their last tensions. Let your mind stop its wandering and settle into stillness. Sleep is coming. You can feel it approaching, like a soft wave washing over you, like a gentle hand smoothing your brow, like a voice whispering that all is well. All is peaceful, all is as it should be. The medieval world sleeps, and you sleep with it, part of the great human family that has sought rest since the beginning of time, part of the endless chain of sleepers stretching back through history. Rest now, dream now, let the peace of ages past carry you through the night. And when morning comes with its soft light and gentle awakening, you will rise restored, refreshed, ready for another day. But that is hours away. For now there is only this, the quiet darkness, the comfortable bed, the slow breathing, the gradual fading of awareness. Sleep well, sleep deeply, sleep peacefully. Good night.